So this is about mirroring, so something we covered already. So the way I work with Blender is that I usually work on the right side and then the left side gets the mirror treatment. Okay, so but you can do it vice versa, it doesn't really matter. So this is a cube. I'm gonna press tab right here. Okay, I'm gonna press number 3 to select this side of the cube. I'm gonna go G, X, and then hold down Control so I can just snap it. You see it? It's snapping to the grid increment. So by snapping it like so, this one is now kind of cut in half, but it's not cut in half. I just moved it, right? So let me click undo, repeat that. Well, I actually don't need to do that anymore because we're recording, because you can just rewind. But anyway, I just got used to it. G, X, hold down Control. It snaps right there. Then I'm going to delete this because you don't want any face in the middle when you're trying to mirror. It gets built up. Okay, so I'm just going to remove that. And now we're back to this half cube. And if I want to add a mirror modifier to this, that's it. So if I press tab, I go to, let's say, number 1 or point mode. Whatever I do on the right side, the other one follows. The only rule that you want to follow here is, before we add clipping, is that any points that you manipulate in the center, there's 4 points for now. Each time this go away like so, you create kind of like a gap, which is what you want. Sometimes you want to make like a shirt and a collar and whatnot, but that's for later. Okay, but for now, if you want this to kind of stay here, because you want to make this exclusive, that it's only go GZ, up and down only, right? Back and forth as well. You don't want it moving GX. So what you can do is turn on clipping in your mirror modifier. What happened is that no matter what you do, you can't go X. Clipping will prevent you from separating from the blue line. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's clipping right there. So from here, we could basically start modeling and what we call base modeling, or raw modeling. There's variations how they call this process. So you basically, you're just blocking your model, okay? So let me just show you real quick what we can do with, let's say, with this one. So let's say we're modeling, let's say, a shirt, okay? So to model a shirt, it looks pretty straightforward, right? You just have to put the sleeves and then cut out the parts where you don't want, and then so on and so forth. But you're also kind of conforming to a body shape, okay? So it's not just kind of like a free-floating t-shirts or a shirt. We're going to have to put some sort of mannequin inside, an invisible mannequin, and then we'll model on that, okay? So I'm going to split my screen here so I can see my front and my right side, or left side, sorry. So what I'll do is just position my cursor on this line that separates any of the screen in Blender. What I can do then is right-click and split vertical, okay? We're going to go here. This will split it. And when you split in Blender, it retains the old screen, okay? There's several ways you can still deal with this. Sometimes people do a split also here, a horizontal split, so they could see it in 3D front and side. But I'll just go front here and then side on this one. Makes it easier to kind of understand what's happening. I'm also have to turn on screencast on this one here. Hopefully I'll get screencast. Oh, is it exclusive to one screen only? Okay, well, anyway, looks like it's only one screen. All right, so we are dealing with a 3D object. So if I have to select, let's say by dragging like so, you're only selecting this one. You're not going to select the one in the middle. That's why you have to turn on the X-ray or transparency button right here, okay? So we have to do it on both. It'll look a little bit darker, but that's fine. Okay? So this is the right side here. I mean the left side. So I'm just going to simply make the shirt not too kind of wide. So I'm just going to kind of streamline the width right there, okay? Also gonna do a Control R here to split this two, okay? To add 2 rings right there. And now we can kind of form kind of like the shape of it so it's not too stiff, okay? So what I can do with the bottom is kind of angle it a little bit, give it a belly, okay? And then make sure we put that as the top. All right, so kind of building character, we're kind of bending the spine a bit, okay? For the front, not much here. Simply want to bring this forward a bit. And then this one a little bit like so. And then we're giving our character a belly here, a little bit belly, okay? So if we look now, looking at it from a cube, we are now kind of distorting the shape so it kind of looks like something that someone would wear. All right, so kind of streamline that a bit. All right, same thing over here. All right, obviously now you can tell where the shoulder will be, okay? So we're gonna select our face mode here, select that option right there, and now we'll extrude it. Okay, it just kind of created the angle where it just wants to right there, that's fine. I'm gonna go over here, kind of rotate that, okay? All right, that should be fine right there. Let's take a look over here. It's not going to work with the shape because it simply has to be at least a rounded shape or a square shape. So I'm going to start grabbing, let's say, edge mode, that one right there, and that one as well. And just kind of scale this, guys, going in. Kind of matching the form that I have over there, okay? And then we're gonna do another extrude here to simply extrude this, kind of going down. All right, you might be thinking, why not just extrude this one and then make it as the sleeve? The problem with that is you will have a weird armpit area later on, and then your shoulder would not be correct, okay? So that's the reason why you want kind of like a double extrusion here. You want the sleeve happening right here. So what we can do here is then kind of start designing this one so that it looks like that will be the shoulder part, and you can go like so, kind of fix those portions right there. Okay, so very cubic still because we're looking at it at a very minimum polygon. That's how you want to start your model. You don't want them too complicated. You want to bring the complications later. You can then start adding control R's, do that basically anywhere, you know, just kind of round things up. So one last adjustments right here, because we're going to be dealing with a color right here. So thinking maybe move those a little bit in. It's kind of forming that shape right there. Okay, so depending on what you want to create with your character, you know, we can start adding the control R's right now to add more detail to this. So I'm going to do one right here on the side. So I added one line going all the way across. The beauty of this one is now we can start manipulating points right here and then really round this up. So I'm going to go number 7 to go to the top. Best way to see my model where I can kind of round things off like so. Instead of having kind of very straight back formation here, I can select all these points here, go back to the top, just kind of angle this also. All right, so by simply doing that, we kind of rounded off the shape already. You can do more depending on what you want to do right here. Okay, you can change how rounded you want that. There's also a tool that I don't know if it's activated. So let me go to edit, preferences, and then add-on. What do you call them too? Mesh tools. Let me see if they're actually on. Okay, mesh tools. If you go to your add-ons and type in mesh, and you want to activate your mesh tool, okay? The mesh tools helps you in getting some shape quickly, okay? You have to turn it on. They're not on by default in Blender, so we close this. So watch what happens here when I select this polygon and that, right? So this is below the sleeve. If I right-click, the mesh tools are, it's right here, but let me see if they have the, get rid of make circle. Yeah, I think they did.
Is it mesh tools or loop tools?
Or loop tools, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
loop.
you have
Sorry,
to
yeah.
you have to go turn that on.
Yeah, loop tools, not mesh tools.
Yeah, because I had to do that the other day when I was doing my room.
Loop tools.
I was like,
All
this
right.
is some new stuff.
Yeah, loop tools. Circle. There you go. You see what happens? So you don't have to, I mean, you still got to do something, except at least whatever it is shape you got right there, it'll try to make it into a circle shape. See what happened? All right, so. All right, now I'm going to start kind of manipulating stuff here, scaling and rounding it up. Okay, and number 3, maybe start removing too much belly. Okay. All right, so we can now start another Control R right here. So we added this one and then another one right here. So that way, when we go number 7, we can even have more of a roundness to it now. Same thing for the back. All right, so adding the details slowly. Okay, this one also, we got to relax that. All right, for the side. Can you hear the birds?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's tons here. Okay, and then for this one, kind of lower that a little bit. So we're now starting to create the part for the front, where we'll eventually grab the section right here to do an inset. Okay, so I'm gonna do a polygon right here. All right, we can use the inset tool or press I. All right, to kind of create the, oops, sorry, the color. But since we have clipping right here, if I just move this to the right side later on, I can just fuse it here. So I'm going to select those two and delete them, because we just want basically this. All right. So by simply doing that, we can create kind of like an opening right here. Okay. And then you can delete this if you want to. I'm going to delete mine just so that we can start getting kind of like the color for it. Okay. So now at this point, it's just a matter of kind of manipulating the points here till you're kind of happy with the opening. Okay, same thing on the front. All right. Maybe some manipulation here. So you can kind of relax it. Okay, so let's take a look. Low polygon. We're going to add a modifier subdivision surface. Okay, let's delete, let's say for now, all the parts that we don't need. All right, there it is.
Okay.
And this is low polygon, super low poly. Okay. So you don't need to go too crazy. So test, this one would be a perfect time right now to kind of to UV edit and texture before, you know, because once you start adding those little detail, like let's say you add like a seam right here to the edge, it'll be kind of like the broom. It'll be it's going to start getting harder to texture later on. So you want to texture it at the simplest form, and then start adding those little doodads or knickknacks or details to it, and while it's still easier to manage.
Okay, I see.
Let me just kind of move this up a bit. All right, so why are we showing, let's say, shirt and whatnot? If you're going to create a character and they're wearing clothing, no need to model the character inside, not unless you're doing specific things like you're going to put armature and muscle systems, and then you want the cloth to basically move as a simulation to the to the body. Okay, if not, if you're not going to see the body inside and then the shoulder right here, don't model those. Just model what we see. Does that make sense? Sometimes
Yes.
it's easier though to model, let's say, complete hair and put a cap on or a hat on. That's fine. I mean, what I'm saying is you don't need to make someone kind of like, you know, those bald like a monk. You know, and then so that you can put a cap, you can model the entire thing, because it then gives you option when you want to take off the hat, then at least the hair is complete. Okay, so only for the stuff that will never show, right?